Morrison. Behind the net. Longest overtime game in Canucks playoff history. Morrison comes right under point. Morrison scores! Brendan Morrison, a silencer! And we will have Game 7.
Well, we did what we wanted to do. We won. I mean, that's the bottom line. We played a great first half, and then we sat up, but it doesn't matter. We won the game. We lived to fight another day.
I'm really proud of our guys because they stuck with it, and then they stayed the course, and now it was a classic hockey game.
The defending Stanley Cup champion Red Wings were expected to have an easy time with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks in the opening round of 2003. But Anaheim, and more specifically Jean-Sébastien Giguère, made a statement in the first game. Giguère's 62-save performance is what is most remembered about a game that was ultimately decided in triple overtime.
16:48 to go here in the third overtime period. Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings playing their first game of the 2003 playoff. To draw one back to Nicholas Havlin. Takes a shot. Blocked in front. Rebound. Correa scores! Paul Correa ends it for Anaheim. And the Ducks take game one. Paul Correa with his second career overtime goal. And the Anaheim Mighty Ducks stun the defending Stanley Cup champions, taking game one.
In 2003, the Tampa Bay Lightning were still in search of their first ever series victory. They had a chance to end their drought and eliminate the Washington Capitals in Game 6. Late in the third period, Dave Andreychuk scored to force overtime. The game was far from over. The goaltenders would combine for more than 100 saves before the outcome was settled in triple overtime.
Cavalier, St. Louis, and Prospel up front. Vinny Prospel through the middle. Martin St. Louis centering pass. LeCavalier couldn't get it to sit. St. Louis in front, takes a shot, scores! Martin St. Louis with the overtime winner, and the Tampa Bay Lightning win a series for the first time in their history. A power play goal for Martin St. Louis after the Caps were caught for too many men on the ice in triple overtime. Martin St. Louis, 5 goals in the last 4 games of the series, including the overtime winner. Off the steal behind the goal, he fires it up top. His first career overtime winner, and the Lightning win a series for the first time. They'll face the New Jersey Devils in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
We had a little bit of everything, obviously. We had a couple losses early, and get to experience that and realize how hard you got to play. And you know, then we have two overtime games, Game 3 and tonight. And you know, I mean, for the first time in the playoff series, you know, you're kind of anticipating that, and it's exciting to play in overtime. And obviously, getting the win against Wash, it's a big one for the franchise and for all of us hockey players in this room that it's our first time.
After being shelled at home in the opening game of their 2002 conference semifinal against the Senators, the Toronto Maple Leafs found themselves in a near must-win situation in Game 2. Toronto had taken an early 2-goal lead, only to see that slip away, and the game was tied at 2-2 at the end of regulation. It stayed that way for almost 45 minutes of overtime before Gary Roberts put an end to the third longest game in Toronto Maple Leaf history.
One by Toronto. Toronto scored! Roberts ends the game, and the Leafs have tied the series. One apiece. 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the third overtime. The faceoff in the zone. Gary Roberts with the chance. His first shot on goal in the game, and his biggest shot of the night. Leafs win it 3-2, and the series is tied at 1 apiece. Wow, what a night in Toronto.
It's something that I'll probably remember down the road, but my main focus right now is enjoy right now, but realize the series is 1-1. We're up against a real tough hockey club, and hopefully I can score a few more to help our team win the series.
In 1996, the Colorado Avalanche were within a victory of winning their first ever Stanley Cup. They led the Florida Panthers 3-0, and most expected them to easily complete the sweep. Instead, John Van Beesbrook and Patrick Waugh combined on the longest 1-0 game in the history of the Stanley Cup final. In the 5th minute of the third overtime period, the first and the only goal was scored.
Trying to clear, didn't get it off. Sakic held it in. Still
What an incredible hockey game. And an incredible finish to an unbelievable season for the Florida Panthers. And an even more unbelievable season for the Colorado Avalanche. Congratulations to the Avalanche. It didn't come quite as easy as I think even they thought it would be. Man, Uwe Krupp.
4 minutes and 31 seconds into the third overtime. Uwe Krupp, who missed virtually the entire season, injured in the first game they played in Colorado, came back for 6 regular season games, has performed magnificently in the playoffs, and gets the Stanley Cup winning goal.
The Colorado Avalanche won another game in triple overtime during the 1996 playoffs. Game against the Chicago Blackhawks in a pivotal 4th game. Jeremy Roenick had the Hawks' best chance to score in overtime, but was denied, felt a penalty should have been called. And ultimately, Joe Sakic scored the winner. However, Sakic's heroics will always be overshadowed by the famous post-game exchange.
Ricci to Gazarov. Gazarov down low. Backdoor score! Joe Sakic has ended this game in triple overtime, and the series is tied at 2 games apiece.
That should have been a penalty shot, there's no doubt about it. I like Patrick's quote that he would have stopped me. I just want to know where he was in Game 3. Probably getting his jock out of the stands out of the Rafters United Center, maybe.
I can't really hear what Jeremy says because I got my 2 Stanley Cup rings plugged in my ear.
June 8th, 2000. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final between the New Jersey Devils and the Dallas Stars. New Jersey has a chance to win their 2nd championship in 5 years. But Martin Brodeur and Ed Belfour combined to rewrite the record book with the longest 1-0 game in final history. In the 7th minute of triple overtime, the game's lone goal scorer emerged.
Hull comes over the line, trying to shot in. Score! It was deflected in front by Mike Modano. The Dallas Stars have silenced this crowd. This series continues. Game 6 Saturday in Dallas, Texas.
April 24th, 1997. It's Game 4 of the conference quarterfinal between the New Jersey Devils and the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal faces the prospect of being swept at home in a playoff series for the first time in franchise history. They give 20-year-old Jose Theodore his first career playoff start, and he sparkles, making 56 saves. Despite his heroics, however, the Canadiens would need a goal in triple overtime to stave off elimination.
With Recchi and Brisebois. Brisebois to Koivu. In front, Brisebois scores! No brooms tonight. The Canadiens are still alive.
The Ghosts have arrived at the Molson Center. Patrice Brisebois to Koivu. Nice little touch pass back to Brisebois. Backhand shot hits Brodeur, but goes up and over.
April 23rd, 1996. The Chicago Blackhawks lead the Calgary Flames 3-0 in their opening round series. With the Flames facing elimination, Ed Belfour and Trevor Kidd are brilliant and only give up a goal apiece before the game is settled at the halfway point of the 3rd overtime period.
Trent Yarny goes back for it. Yarny in his 8th NHL season gave it up in front of the net. Scores! Joe Murphy! The Hawks complete the sweep.
Well, we said it wasn't going to be a pretty goal. Ken, and it's not.
The Chicago Blackhawks have done it again. 11 times they've been in a position to sweep, and they've done it. And for the Calgary Flames, it was a 7-year itch that the Flames have failed to scratch.
It's May 2nd, 2003. The New Jersey Devils have a chance to eliminate the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 5 of their Eastern Conference semifinal. With the score tied at 1, the teams play more than 2.5 scoreless overtime periods before the eventual winner comes across.
Here's Colin White. Plays it across for Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer takes a shot. John Graham the save. Loose in front. Back at score! Grant Marshall ends it in the 3rd overtime for New Jersey. And the Devils are going to the 3rd round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Still ahead on the show, the Stanley Cup Finals have produced some of the longest games in history. As well, some of the most dramatic. Look at the heroics that are frozen in time. It's coming up next. Welcome back. April 16th, 2003. Mark Recchi scores in the second minute of play to give the Flyers a lead. But the Toronto Maple Leafs overcome a pair of one-goal deficits to eventually force overtime. The game is tied at 2. Ed Belfour would make a total of 72 saves, the second highest total in a playoff game in the post-expansion era. The teams were still deadlocked in the halfway mark through the third overtime period.
And Hanzus gets it in with Recchi. Recchi gets set. The shot scores. Recchi gets a winning goal here. Belfour got a piece of it all right, but couldn't hang on to it. And this building is silent, except for the roars of the Philadelphia Flyers, as Recchi gets the first goal of the game and the last goal of this game at 13:54 of a third overtime period. And the series now is tied at 2 games apiece.
Just hours after that memorable goal, Recchi was at his wife's side as she gave birth to their third child. We go from a newborn now to the oldest player ever to score in the Cup Final. June 8th of 2002, it's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Detroit Red Wings and the Carolina Hurricanes. Igor Larionov, the league's elder statesman, ends the third longest game in Stanley Cup Final history at 14:47 of the third overtime period.
Detroit trying to move it out. They do. Nearly a 2-on-1 shaping up, but here, Larionov coming in a goal! He scores! Larionov waited in front, then flipped the high shot in off the crossbar. And the Detroit Red Wings win game number 3 at 14:47 of the third overtime session. Red Wings take the lead in the series, 2-1.
June 19th of 1999, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Dallas Stars and the Buffalo Sabres. Dallas is within a victory of their first championship. The teams fire more than 100 pucks at Ed Belfour and Dominik Hasek, but have to settle for a goal apiece. The winner would not come until the 15th minute of triple overtime, as one of the NHL's most prolific goal scorers would score the biggest goal in Stars history.
Just by Hull. Shot. Yuri Lettinen. Hull, loose puck. Hull, shot. Score! The Dallas Stars! Brett Hull! They've won the Stanley Cup! Deep in the heart of Texas, the Stars are shining! The Dallas Stars, with 5:09 to go in the third period, for the first time in their franchise history, have won the Stanley Cup.
It's May 15th, 1990, and the opening game of the 1990 Stanley Cup Final. The Edmonton Oilers took a 2-0 lead into the third period, but Ray Bourque's second goal of the third period, with less than 90 seconds to go in regulation, would force overtime. Bill Ranford and Andy Moog then held the fort for the next 55 minutes. And just when it began to look like a fourth overtime period would be needed, the winner was scored.
McTavish and Curry. Klima catching up. He's in. She scores. Klima gets the goal for the Edmonton Oilers here in the third overtime at 15-13. And what a win this has got to be for the Edmonton Oilers. Klima with the goal. And the Oilers win it 3-2.
Welcome back. The Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers earned a reputation for producing arguably the best playoff hockey of the late 90s. Their longest game came on April 27th of 1999. It was Game 4 of their opening round series, with the Oilers facing elimination. The teams would play almost 3 complete periods of overtime hockey before the winner was scored.
Good work along the boards by Langenbrunner. Newnite goes to the front of the net. They try and get it there. Bounces off the leg. Here's Zubov with the shot. He scores! Deflected in front of the net, and it's a series sweep for the Dallas Stars, but they have to work for every bit of it. So Joe Nieuwendyk didn't see a thing. 2 consecutive game winners. Zubov and Hogue draw the assists at 57-34 of overtime.
Nieuwendyk would go on to equal a league record with 6 game winners during the Stars' 1999 Cup run. On April 27th of 1994, the New Jersey Devils took a 3-2 series lead into Game 6 of their Eastern Conference quarterfinal against the Buffalo Sabres. With his team facing elimination, Dominik Hasek turned in one of the greatest goaltending performances ever, making 70 saves. Unfortunately, his teammates had been unable to beat Martin Brodeur with any of their first 49 shots. The game would ultimately be decided in the 4th overtime period on the last of Dave Hannon's 6 career playoff goals.
Presley with a little shovel pass, saw Daw take it. Jason Daw with Presley at the front, can't get it through Driver. Daw again, centered one off of Albaline, Hannon scores!
Dave Hannon, who said, as we mentioned, you play well in the playoffs, you'll play in the National Hockey League a long time, had a sensational game. I don't think he saw him lose a faceoff the entire game. Picks it up and just puts it up over Martin Brodeur, who had no chance.
April 18, 1987, the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders stage arguably the most famous overtime game in a Game 7 in league history. The Capitals and the Islanders are tied at 2-2 through regulation, but play more than 68 minutes of overtime before Pat LaFontaine scores the most memorable goal of his career.
Adams on the left side. Up to center, Leiter dancing away from a check. Leiter going in. Leiter had a notion to let one go. He centered it. Nobody was in front. The Islanders were changing. Now Dineen stepping in, going in around the goal. Dineen out front, shoots, hit a stick. Comes to the line. LaFontaine shot. He scores! LaFontaine up the blue line. Here in the 4th overtime. Firing the shot and winning the series. Scoring at 8:47 of the 4th overtime period, and the Islanders pour off the bench, and the Capitals stand there exhausted with their heads hanging low, but they gotta keep their heads up.
The Capitals played an even longer game on April 24th of 1996 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tied at 2 through regulation, the teams would play into the final minute of their 4th overtime period before the outcome was finally decided.
Did hear Nedved yell, let's go. He gets it to Zubov, right in there, shoots. That was blocked. Tononi got in front of it. Nedved fakes a shot, scores! That's it! Peter Nedved scores the winner at 19:15 of the 4th overtime period.
Ahead on the show, the 2 longest games were each decided in 5th overtime periods. We'll show you the game winners coming up next. Welcome back. April 24th of 2003. It's Game 1 of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks series against the Dallas Stars. Anaheim appeared headed for victory, but Brendan Morrow's goal in the final minutes of the 3rd period tied the score at 3, forcing overtime. The goalies took over from there, holding both teams off the score sheet for more than 4 periods of overtime before the winner came in the opening minute of the 5th extra period.
Havlin in behind the goal. Marty Turco couldn't handle it. Here's Mike LeClaire with it. LeClaire trying to get around Hatcher. Adamo centering pass. Sikora scores! Peter Sikora, 51 seconds into the 5th overtime period. And now the Ducks have done it in the 4th longest playoff game in NHL history.
On May 4th of 2000, the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins played Game 4 of their conference semifinal. Now, this series had been unpredictable, with the first 3 games being won by the road team. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what was about to come in Game 4. It was the longest NHL game in 67 years, ultimately decided in the 13th minute of the 5th overtime period by a player who had never scored a game-winning goal in the playoffs and had been demoted from the top line just 2 games prior because of a lack of production.
They got away with it again.
Jones the best chance. And now Primo. Primo, great move, scores! Kid Primo, the marathon man, and the Flyers tie the series.
Keith Primo's been hearing all kinds of criticism about his playoff performance over the years. That's over now.
At 12:01 of the 5th overtime period, 92 minutes and 1 second into extra